September.
Yes, lovely. That's been used. Can you tap it? October. You'll notice that I'm conducting, and you'll also notice perhaps that we're not only talking about these little pieces of wood, we're talking about what you do with them and how you do it as well. So I'm giving you examples of things that you can do, and you'll notice that when we're dealing with stress, I'm doing a kind of conducting thing. You'll notice that I'm teaching English, not Arabic or Hebrew, so I'm starting from my right and going to my left, because that's the way you read. Make sense?
Yeah.
Good. Okay. It's a silly little thing, but I think it's kind of important. What's next?
November.
Yeah, tap it. Tap it. Yeah, it doesn't work quite so well like that. Try hard. I know, but you have to suffer for your art. You know, my knuckles are. You can use a pencil or something. Alright? I can always find you the easy way, Valentina, don't worry. And what's next?
December.
Okay, what's the first vowel sound?
G.
I. Okay, not F, right? December. No, December, isn't it? Yeah. Okay, good. And the R on the end, the post-vocalic R sound disappears, right? So let's just quickly go through these. We've got
January.
be careful now. Remember, January.
February.
Wait, don't go so fast. I'm going to start again. Go with me, please.
January, February, March, April, May, June, July. July, August, September, October, November, December.
I'm just dealing with time for the moment, but I'm going to move on from time. I just want to give you an idea of what might be going on here. Oh, look at that! That's how demonstrative these are. You know immediately that these are seasons, because what I've done is to associate a colour with an understanding that most of us have. So what are these 2 months here?
Winter.
What months are they?
November and December.
Okay, I'm going to take them, I'm going to put them there. So now we've got what?
November,
Yeah.
December, January, February.
Okay, is that alright?
November is autumn. November is autumn.
In different cultures it's going to be different.
But in English it's winter?
November?
Autumn.
Help me out here.
Yeah,
November, winter?
definitely.
No? You think definitely?
Oh no, actually, I'm not.
Let's fight about it. It's definitely winter? Alright.
Where? Here in England.
Hey, in England it's always winter. Is that okay? Do you agree with that? No? Who said no? Come and fight me. Where are you? Come and fight. Tell me what you want. Actually, come and do what you want.
This is February, right?
No. January, February, March.
No, it was November.
Yeah. November, December, January, February.
Then it's okay. Well, wait. February, March, April, May, December, summer.
What's summer?
No.
June is summer? Alright, okay, I agree.
June, July, and August.
Alright then, so you said June?
June, July, and August.
Summer.
Yeah.
Okay, and then?
September, October, November. In our country, so it depends from a country to another. Yeah.
Okay.
It depends, maybe.
Alright.
Yeah.
Oh,
Always cold and wet in November, so my book is
In my country, no.
except on my birthday. My birthday is summer was summer.
Only 2 months for autumn.
Okay.
My birthday is in November. It's
Is
not.
it? Your birthday's in November? What
So
date?
it's hot or not?
Uh,
So you have to
26.
fight for November.
Yeah.
You have to fight for November.
Oh my God, my second wife was a Scorpio. Oh
Yeah.
Okay, so what is this?
Winter.
Good, and then?
Spring.
And?
Summer. Autumn.
Is there a schwa in there?
Yeah, autumn.
There is no
Autumn. The last syllable. Autumn. Autumn.
Yeah. Alright.
I don't know.
How are your knuckles? Are they okay?
You have the right to introduce the rules we need to follow.
Oh, no rules.
I don't think I can't tell the English say you should say schwa without schwa. We need to learn from you.
Yeah.
Alright, here's something else. We're going to move on from time. All of these things can be used to set up something else. So they're there for two purposes. So they're sort of self-referential, if you want. So I might want to work on the pronunciation of the seasons, and so that's fine. But they can also be used for something else, to introduce a story, for example. So if I do that, what do you think it means?
Past.
Right, okay. And if I say that, what do you think it means?
Last summer.
Exactly. Okay, so we'll take that and put it over there. All I'm always going to try to elicit using the rods. I'm not going to tell people things if I can possibly avoid it. I want these to work for me. So everything is going to come from students. And a little bit later I'm going to try and elicit a whole story from you if we've got time. We'll see. We'll see how we go. But for the moment, what's this?
Last summer.
Good. No, leave that one there, actually. Take it away. Any thoughts about where we might be?
How many yellows there?
This is?
See, the sea and the big
River.
Yeah. This is Mr. and Mrs. Jones.
Lying.
Can you see them?
Yeah.
If you can't see them, stand up. Mr. and
Yeah.
Mrs. Jones, yes?
Yeah.
And there too?
Children. The whole family is there,
Absolutely.
enjoying themselves.
Absolutely.
In Tunisia.
This is
Our
the
nice
kind of
beaches.
language that I want to occur. I'm not going to keep people in a box.
Yeah.
I want them to start developing language, start talking. If they do that, I know that they're enjoying it. If they sit there in stony silence, then I'm doing something not quite right.
Yeah.
So I want them to say things like, yes, last summer they went, where did they go?
Tunisia.
Let's keep it general. Okay.
It's very nice there.
It is very nice there, you're
Yeah.
right. I've walked along this inside of Tunisia, it's
Yeah.
fantastic, and I'm waiting to be invited back, actually, to be honest.
Yeah, so promise. I
Okay.
the north and the south. If you come during summer, you will profit from Hammamet, Sus, and
Let's go. Should we go now?
If you want
Yeah.
the desert, etc., so it is at the south.
Okay, so I'm looking for language that suggests that this family is at the beach. They went there last summer. Why did they go there? Yeah. Do you want for holiday or on holiday? Well, on, do you? Okay.
To be on holiday, like a purpose.
You can. You can. Probably for Is that right?
But to be now,
You see how we're discovering, we're working and discovering stuff? Isn't that interesting? Sharing. Absolutely right. Okay. What time is it?
A quarter to 9?
What's this?
the sun.
The sun. Okay. See? There's another little thing you can do. And if you really want to be clever, you can do this too.
Sunset.
Yeah. Midday.
Sunset.
Oh, yeah, I see.
See?
It really stimulates the creativity even of the learners.
Absolutely.
So, and the greater thinking of the learners. It's
Of the
greater,
teacher
yeah.
and of the learners.
So we can integrate our learners
Yes,
to
yes.
choose
Yes,
things.
yes.
Yeah, to create things.
If I have very small children, I've had to set these for 20 years, one on plastic.
Yeah. Oh no,
I know they're horrible, but anyway, they're really old. And they've been everywhere.
I'm really
But-
old. I'm not
with-
plastic. Well, bits of me
But I
are, to be
encourage
honest.
them to do it the other way. Build me a dog. Where is the dog? Build, you know. Oh, it's in
Yeah.
the forest. Okay, build a forest.
Yeah,
Go for-
Yeah,
so-
absolutely.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah. Don't get the idea that you can only use these with kids, by the way. I'm using them with you at the
adults,
moment.
yeah.
Oh, prepositions. Amazing.
We'll come on to it, maybe. I want to try and do some stuff which is not so obvious. Okay, so, sorry, what time did we say it was?
Midday.
Okay, but it's not there, and it's not there, it's like that. So what can we say?
11ish.
11ish?
In the
Or?
morning, before lunch.
Yeah, okay. 12ish?
12.
All that, remember that language?
Yeah.
Dinner time.
All right, good. If you can see now, I want you to narrate. I want you to tell me what's happening.
So the children are swimming. So, and his brother joined him. So
Oh, it's a boy, is it?
Oh,
They're both boys?
I don't know, maybe.
Well, you said so. You said his brother.
Because you selected the same color and the same, so I
Well,
thought that they are not the same.
Perhaps they're twins.
So maybe twins. Yeah, it can be twins. Yeah.
Little white square
Exactly,
twins.
Yeah. Maybe twins.
So where are they now?
In the sea.
And what are the parents doing?
Sunbathing.
Put those two pieces of information together using a special word. Go on.
Why?
While?
The parents are sunbathing while the children are swimming.
Take that second while away.
Children.
What?
Children are swimming while their parents are sunbathing.
That's okay. Do that now.
While the parents are sunbathing, the children are swimming.
Okay, put it in the past.
While
While the
the
parents
parents
were
were
sunbathing,
their
their children were swimming.
So what we're doing now, in the guise of a little story, is working on some grammar, right?
Yeah.
This is grammar.
Yeah.
We're talking about word order, we're talking about conjunctions, we're talking about changing clauses around to see if there's a difference in meaning and so on. All this stuff is going on. And learners are largely unaware. Okay, watch carefully.
Oh no.
Or sinking.
Diving. We went deeper into the sea.
Yeah.
And they were
Swimming
It's dangerous. Too far. They are giving.
Why is it dangerous?
Far. Their parents. Yeah, they
What
are-
happens? What happens to the
The
sea?
winds.
The tide went.
When
Say it again.
The tide went out.
Yes, that's right. The tide went out, and what happened?
the children
Swam away. They carried away by the sea. Were driven away. Drowning.
They are shouting, asking for help, alarming.
Is that the father?
No,
Before we go there, is it the father or the
The
mother?
mother.
Okay, how does she feel right now? Give me some words. Get together.
Anxious.
Get together in groups. Write down as many adjectives for the way she feels right now as you can think of. You've got 30 seconds.
Angry with their father because basically he says
yes,
doing
so,
nothing.
yeah.
Scared, stiff,
Helpless.
helpless. Maybe because she can't swim.
Yeah.
Horrified.
Yeah.
What else?
Crying?
30 seconds.
Maybe crying. Yeah. Or say it again, yelling at her husband.
Mad. Going nuts.
Yeah.
Going nuts.
She was beside herself. She was going crazy.
Yeah, so good.
Going crazy.
It's it is everyday
So
English.
it's more than desperate.
So you say
It's more than desperate.
Yeah.
She was almost mental.
She's beside herself.
Going mental.
Yeah.
So
So
she
the
was
first
going
time that I
mental.
see this expression.
Yeah.
Beside
Beside she was
herself.
going. She was going
Interesting.
mental. She was going mental.
Yeah, she's full. Yeah, she's driven mad.
3,
So,
2. Okay, let's start over there. What have you written down? Read your list, please, slowly.
Scary, anxious, miserable.
So, I need time to process. I'm very old. My brain isn't very quick.
Scary.
Wait.
Are scared.
Ah.
Anxious.
Okay.
Miserable.
Miserable? Do you agree? No, they don't agree. They don't like it.
Okay.
Throw it away.
Shocked.
Okay. Why don't we agree with miserable?
because miserable it has different meanings. Does
What,
not mean
what,
shocked.
what does it mean?
Poor, sad,
Is it if you have
unhappy.
if you have happy here and sad here, whereabouts is miserable? Is it here? It's somewhere in the middle? Under the table? Miserable? Really? Okay. Next.
Frustrated?
Is she frustrated?
No.
Yes? You think so? Yes?
Frustrated when we expect something, and then in reality something else, so we get frustrated.
This is contentious. Some people don't agree.
Yeah.
It's contentious. Right, go on.
Desperate?
Oh my God.
Really,
Yes, go on. Afraid? Okay, good. Enough? Thank you. Next.
Helpless.
Oh,
Yeah.
beautiful.
Agitated.
Wow.
Yeah, maybe.
Worried.
Agitated. This is next. Go on.
Upset.
Oh yeah. Is that strong enough?
No.
No? People say no.
Sad.
Okay.
Sorry. Is that it? No. More?
Scared, we have.
Yeah, we had that. That's old stuff.
Yeah, we
Next over here.
Next. So, scared.
No.
Terrified. Terrified, yes.
Terrified? Terrified?
Yeah.
The jury says yes. Why not? Okay.
Horrified.
Pardon?
Horrified.
Horrified? Horrified?
Terrified.
Yes.
Yeah? Okay, doesn't pass.
So crying, I know it's not an
It
adjective,
is not.
but maybe we can use it here as a
No.
gerund
No, you can't.
to describe.
No, you can't.
We
We're
can't.
not going to allow that.
So depressed.
Depressed?
Devastated.
Too passive, isn't it?
Yeah.
To be depressed.
Yeah.
If she loses her children.
It's just emotional
needs to act. She needs to do something.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
depression is not
Yeah.
Yeah.
inside.
I would be depressed.
Not yet. Not yet. Okay, alright.
Devastated.
Next.
Mad at her husband.
What's next?
Mad at her husband.
This is typical. Typical.
He was supposed to look after
Seems a little unfair. To
It's a female behavior.
you don't know the backstory. The backstory is that she got him drunk last night. That's the trouble. And so he's sleeping. That's her fault, not his fault. Just saying.
As always.
Yeah.
Everybody's always.
Any more? No more? Great. Somebody?
Beside herself.
Oh, I know where that came from. Go on.
Going crazy.
Going crazy. Okay.
Going mental.
Can you hear?
Going
Can you hear?
crazy and going mental.
Yeah.
You accept it?
Yeah.
Being driven
Not
mad.
going nuts.
What?
Driven mad.
Driven.
Oh, okay.
Maybe.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah,
On
I'm right.
alert.
Yes or no?
So yeah, it's okay.
On
The
alert.
jury says yes.
Who will be
On
the winner?
alert.
Sorry?
On alert.
On alert.
On alert.
Ah,
Oh, that's interesting.
yeah.
I'm confused.
Which one?
Confused.
Oh, possibly.
Being very angry.
Okay, okay. Why not? Oh, is that all right, Sharon?
Yeah.
Yes, you like that. Turn to stone, in other words. What is that little black box you hold? Okay.
That's it.
Right, I want to take a quick, when I'm doing teacher training or teacher development, I like to do stuff and then have a little parenthesis. I call this a parenthesis. And I want to attract your attention to some things that were going on during that session. One of them was, taking the last one first, to get people to be aware that they shouldn't be having their mobile phones ringing in class. It's okay, I'm not picking on you. I'm simply saying a technique to do that is to appear horrified, look as if you're, in a jokey kind of way, look as if you're horrified, and then make some comment. My comment is, what's that little black box you have? Like I'm an old person who doesn't know what a mobile phone is. And what I'm really saying is, I don't really want to see that right now, unless you're doing something as professional as Mr. Philip here. Alright, so trying to introduce a little light-heartedness, and not saying to students, put your mobile phone away, we don't want them out. Try to find another way to do it, and you'll find, I predict, you'll find that they'll be more willing to follow you than if you hit them with something, metaphorically speaking. Getting students to listen to each other. There was a moment when somebody was speaking here and somebody over there was also speaking, and so what I try to do is to say, can you hear them? Not, instead of saying shut up and listen, I'd like to say, can you hear what's going on here? Another alternative is, do you agree? And then that person will say, what? And then I get this person to tell that. I'm not going to do it for them. I'm going to get this person to tell that person what was happening, what was said, and try to institute some kind of communication going on. So my message really is like a light touch, wherever possible. Use humour, use a diversion tactic to get behaviour where you want it to be. So, okay? Good, all right. So we've established that the mother is now in a state of high anxiety. The tension in the room.
And now the husband wakes up.
She wakes her husband.
At least. Yeah, I think she used a
As a
foot.
real woman, to dive and scream, she has to wake the husband and call for him to do the same.
Hangover is not an excuse anymore.
I like to break stereotypes where possible. Now, who normally would be considered the person to dive in and help the kids? Right. Let's change that. Let's surprise students. Let's turn this on its head. And let's say that the man...
Call the police.
Right. Okay. And... Okay. What is this called? What kind of swimming is this?
Breaststroke.
Right. And this?
Crawl.
And this one?
Butterfly.
Okay. This is all extra stuff I can throw in if I want to. If I think it's relevant. If I think it's interesting for students, I can throw that in. Watch carefully. Where's the mother now?
In the water.
Where is she?
In the water.
Okay. And what is she doing?
Swimming.
How is she swimming? Give me some adverbs.
Frantically.
Okay, good. Okay.
Desperately.
Currently. Yeah.
Okay.
Speedy.
All right. Okay. But look. What should she do? Have a chat together, quickly. You've got about a minute. And decide what she should do.
partner. To choose the youngest one. The youngest one, probably the person who is more in danger. Yes. Yeah, is more in danger. Yes. Even between twins, one can be stronger. Yeah. So she needs to choose. Anyway, she needs to make a decision. Yeah. And not to lose time.
The better swimmer or the person or the one who can solve the problem by himself. So he's more confident. Yeah, the more independent one. Exactly. Maybe you decide to say one of them.
But the other one will blame her on the
Anyway.
Doesn't
So
matter
he
as
was a
long
brave
as
one.
they chose him.
No, he was a brave
Anyway,
one.
she has to decide quickly.
I just get out.
Without wasting time. Or if she sees the lifeguard coming,
swimming kits. She shouted, hold on. She maybe she goes with the younger.
Because again, she says only sexual dies, so it's better just to use as many possibilities as she can. And the boat will say,
Okay. This is where you are at the moment. That's where you are. Where are you? What's the whole expression? The whole expression. Do you know that expression?
Yeah.
You know it? Okay. I believe you. Some don't. You do now. What does it mean?
confused. She needs to choose. She has to choose.
Yeah. And you at the moment are in this position. If I ask you to decide what she should do. Now, what interests me as a teacher is that there are several things that interest me. First of all, that you're communicating, apparently willingly. This is not magic, it may not work, but apparently you're communicating willingly and happily. So that's the first point, because from a dynamic point of view, I want my students to be doing exactly that. I don't want me to be in the centre all the time. From a secondary point of view, or from a linguistic point of view, I'm interested in the language that you're using. So I put you into a situation where certain kinds of language might be expected. Right? Mm-hmm. What sort of language might be expected? Perhaps. What else? What did you say to each other? What?
Like modality will show me.
Listen, give me some examples of language. What? Give me an example.
She should.
She should, she'll have to, what else?
She may. She must be. She's bound to.
Okay.
She may choose.
It's interesting that a lot of the language I heard, you're not telling me now. Right, that's, in a sense, that's great, because it means it was kind of unconscious. You were doing it naturally. And students do that as well. And I'm listening for things like if. And what happens if. But then. And that sort of thing. It's an impossible situation. What she has here is an impossible situation. Didn't you think?
Yes.
Yeah.
So what did you decide that she should do, in fact? She should do, in fact. You think, okay, so you're saying it's not my problem, it's her problem.
No, I just can say what I can do in this situation, but I cannot decide for other person.
Okay, what would you do?
I would save the weakest and try then help the strongest.
Okay, interesting. Any other thoughts?
Youngest, maybe.
The youngest, but they're twins. You said they were
I will
twins.
swim to the one who is closer because I have more chances of rescuing.
Okay.
And come back for the big
Okay.
for the other one.
All right, that's great. What else?
Go back maybe
to the sea waiting for more experts to rescue both.
So go home,
Yes.
have a cup of tea.
Yeah.
Maybe she should save the
What?
Our proposal is to go back and to take a vote and to save both children and we believe in miracles.
Okay.
if there is a vote at that time.
If there's a vote.
Yeah. But her husband might be working on the
this.
Yes.
In the meantime, she may ask other people to help her.
There's nobody here. Only you.
We don't know it.
Only you. So I could now, because this has opened up into a dialogue, a potential dialogue situation, I could, and this is where you need to be reactive to what students are doing. I could say to you, okay, imagine then that you're back on the beach and there are other people, right? And what can you say to them? What would you say to them? And I could ask you to work together and create a dialogue about what you'd say. And the language that would come out would be extraordinary. Help me, my children, and so on, right? All that stuff could happen. And this is brilliant. This is largely because this stuff is open. If I have a set idea, this stuff is not going to happen. So I'm promoting the idea that you can teach without a rigid lesson plan, actually. Instead, you can use your quick wits and your creativity to let students show you where to go, and you follow them, and then lead them, and they follow you, and you lead them, and so on. That's the way it goes. It's like a roller coaster, right?
Do you get prepared in advance with the story, or do you read on the spot?
In my head, I have an idea. That's all I have. And I know the sort of language that I'm going to expect. But if somebody says something interesting, like she could go and talk to other people, let's pick it up and let's use it. You don't know exactly. You don't know. So you have a basic idea, but you don't really know where it's going to go. Is that okay? All right. Good. What I want to do now is to get you working on something. This is an activity I use with all levels and anybody from teenage years upwards. And so I want to put 4 groups working around the table, so you're going to have to move now. I'd like to have equal groups if that's feasible. You can be sitting down. You need to create space on the table. Create space on the table, so the hat, beautiful though it is, needs to go. I'm going to ask you to create your dream house. So you're a family, all right? You don't have to have roles, that's not important. Can one of you go over there? Because we've got 6 and then we've only got 4. One of you go there, that would be brilliant. And then we've got 5 and 4. Thanks very much. I want you to design a house, but in plan. That means looking down on it. So you can build a house looking down on it with different rooms, and in the rooms you can put things. If you want to, you can have a garden, but it mustn't be 3D. I don't want you to build up. I want it all to be in plan form. Is that all right? Okay, great. You need to have somebody in the group who comes and picks up rods to take back. I'm not going to give them to you, you have to come and collect them. So off you go. You've got about 5 minutes to do this. Just take what you need. Yeah. You can always come back.
We don't need a room. No. This is
Is that one the garden? I want the garden with swimming pool. Okay, so this is the garden. So what else? Where is the house?
These are French doors leading to the terrace.
Yeah.
Yeah?
That's great.
Okay, we need more.
Okay, we need more. Can we have a tennis court?
Sorry? Yeah.
You're doing a tennis court and a gym.
A tennis court? Oh,
Yeah.
okay,
Oh,
lovely.
play tennis.
With the outdoor swimming pool, the tennis court.
That's the
That is the indoor and this is the outdoor.
This is the tennis court and a gym. We need a gym.
Yeah, the gym and the spa. Yeah, the gym and the spa.
This is like the sauna.
Must be the house of the royal family.
Yes. Yes, we need a spa.
A sauna there. The sauna. Yes, in the area of the
Near the swimming pool indoors.
Yes, indoors.
This is a table and chairs.
Okay, so
We need
the bedroom.
I like to sew.
Sewing
Also the white.
The white one.
The white ones and the very big one.
Okay.
Or maybe the swimming pool, yeah.
And the
Little window.
What's the hotel?
and swimming pool.
And now we have to which one is the swimming pool? You see two windows. It's a balcony.
Let's create a gym.
That's a gym. And swimming pool.
Swimming pool through windows. Swimming pool through windows.
Should I get not the brown one?
Yeah, there is a door here. Yeah. So this is the toilet. Yeah, toilet. Yeah. Wash basin. What else?
Let's now think of the bedroom.
Yeah. We need more rods. More rods. Wow, that's big. Looks like a Roman village already.
It's a Hollywood.
I'm not washing.
Okay, finish off.
Thought we might have children.
Oh, fun place. Yeah.
Yeah, it's here where the children can fly.
The nanny.
Like in France.
Yeah,
In France, there's
Children's room and the nanny lives.
yeah, children. Of course, at least two.
Here, two nannies.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bedroom house.
Oh, nice.
And
These are the bedrooms.
four-bedroom
Parents'
house.
bedroom. Parents' bedroom should be
Yeah,
large.
we need
Parents'
a
bedroom.
suite. Yes.
Suite should be here.
That's why
Where there is
a master bedroom.
yeah.
Stop there. Let's stop there, please. Let's stop there. Stop there, please. Thank you. You're right. 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 What I want you to do now is to decide on a price for your house, because you're going to try and sell it. And the price should be in pounds, because that's what we use here. So quickly, together, decide how much you're going to ask.
Maybe 300,000 is okay.
It depends on which county, by the way.
There are some counties which will be quite pricey.
Let's consider street imaging.
Also, where is the house? In a village? Is it in a town or a city?
Yeah, seems, yeah, so like,
Okay. Stop.
I think it's quite a wealthy area here.
yeah.
Okay.
So the prices could be quite high.
Okay, I'm going home now because I can't shut you up. Going home. Right. Oh look, stopped. Right. What I want you to do is to divide yourselves into each group into. I mean, 5 is not a half. 3 of you stay here, or 2 of you stay here, and then I want you to move in a clockwise direction. And I want you to be the people who get up and move. I want you to be the buyers, and the people who remain, I want you to sell your house to these potential buyers. So you have to talk about the house, and I'm going to give you one of those, which is the visitors. So in other words, you can lead your visitors around the house. And this is the swimming pool, and if we turn left here, we go into the dining room, and so on. Okay? Just you have to get into your house and imagine you're inside it. Yes? Now, buyers, I want you to ask questions. How far is the nearest train station? Is there a garage? Is it a double garage? This one's got 6 cars, I think. Okay? And I'm going to give you a time limit, but I'm not going to tell you what it is. So you've got to keep extremely focused. So who's moving from here? And this is you. This is you as a visitor. Who's moving? 2 or 3 of you moving. This is you. Over here. Who's moving? You're a buyer. Who's the buyer? Who are the buyers? Who are the buyers? Who are the buyers? Alright, this is you. Take yourself with you. 2 or 3 of you with me. 2 or 3.
From the royal family, you can.
Well, actually, I was Harry's girlfriend, but then Meghan was wrong.
Very nice. You can rent it if you want. You rent?
Buy it.
Well, I consider you a very professional woman, and I assume you have an excellent job, so this house is probably very much on your financial level.
So, can you describe a bit the setting of the
You have all the facilities here. You have an indoor swimming pool and an outdoor swimming pool. Yeah, you go. Yeah. So then you go straight to find the inside, and then
We also have a tennis court.
yeah. Then you have the spa here. A sauna. Yeah. You have everything here. What is
We have a movie room.
a movie room? Yeah. A vast living room. You have a game room. Yeah. A room for the children. Game room.
We have, how many bedrooms do we have?
2 large bedrooms for the children and 1 suite for the parents. But everything is there.
We also have staff accommodation. So would you not like the bedrooms which are upstairs? Where's your entrance?
Yeah, where's the entrance, please? We would like to see downstairs first.
Area.
Yeah.
Okay. And do you have a garage?
Okay. What's this block in the entrance?
Stairs.
Stairs. Okay. So as soon as you get into the house, there are stairs.
We have got four bedrooms upstairs, one for us, the parents, and three for each child.
Ensuite master bedroom?
So do you have, does the bedroom have its own bathroom? Yes. Okay, very good.
Alright, so
That's our kitchen. So we think it's a good idea.
which is a kitchen, please?
This one is
Okay, so as soon
when you
as
get
you
to you get straight to the kitchen and you can have we invite like concentration
Big hall where you can provide different parties, discos.
We also have
invite
a gym.
guests.
By the way, gym.
Where's the gym?
It's near the entrance. Near the entrance. Are you over here? Yeah. Oh, and is there a garage? Have a very good
Okay.
So I'm interested.
Let's go.
Are you interested? Yes, she's
I had a question online there. If you don't have rods, what can you replace it with?
Just buy a set of rods.
Lego? No?
Okay, let's go where? Alright, now normally what I would do with real students is to send the buyers back to become sellers of their own homes, and I would send the previous sellers to become buyers, and I'd go the other way around. Right? And we'd have a chat about it. And meanwhile also, I would be listening. I like to monitor sensitively. I don't do this, which I've seen teachers do, but I like to do it from a distance. And if I hear there's somebody's saying, this is one of those doors which open for with glass, you know, those doors, and they make for going garden, you know, they say here. Now I hear this, and so I put on the board French window. I don't say anything, I just put it on the board. So I'm picking up stuff which they need, and I feed it to them, and if they notice it, they notice it. And usually because they know the way I work, they're ready, and they know that something's going to go up, and they'll try to find where it could go. And that's the challenge. What is a French window? Right? And if they really can't do it, then I'll focus in later on and say, where does a French window go? What's it used for? And so on. So that's, again, that's the idea of the light touch. Not hitting them and saying, this is the word you need, but saying, there's stuff here which might serve you. I don't know. We can also discuss facilities. I heard people talking about stables, which was great, I think. That's kind of interesting. Yeah, you forgot. That's it, you had it. So all kinds of extensions are possible here. We can talk about money, we can talk about something that's worth more or worth less or not worth that, and so on. We can talk about distances, it's only 5 minutes to the station. If you start to think about this, you can develop in all kinds of different ways. You can be on a site which is flat or hilly or near a river or, you know, liable to flooding. We could have if we wanted to. There's a million things that you can do. And my experience is that students kind of like this. Plus, as an additional area of interest, there's the language of negotiation which they use when they're building the house. Right? So the focus is not then necessarily on language of houses, but it could be on language of negotiation. So why don't we do this? Why don't we have a swimming pool? Let's put the city next to the and so on. All that stuff is, for me, is interesting language, and I'm not asking students to do it. They do it because the context requires it.
I'm wondering, are you going to pre-teach, for example, language for negotiations? Or,
No.
for example, like it's worth it,
No.
it doesn't worth it. But
No.
how can they come up with this?
Well, how can they not?
Yeah, but if they don't know this.
How do I know what they know?
Okay, that's a question to you.
Yeah, I don't know what they know. So I'm not going to pre-teach anything, because if I start to pre-teach it, they'll think I want them to use it. And I want to keep this completely free. I want them to react to a context. If they need language, I'll feed it. I'll feed it in. Yeah.
But would you start that right with an A1 group, or would you wait until they're that?
That's a tricky question. It depends on the group. If they are up for it, if they're people who can be challenged and they enjoy that kind of stuff, then I can start with that level, because they can say, I'm looking for fluency over accuracy, by the way, here, personally. I know that some people won't agree with that, but that's what I'm looking for. I'm more interested in fluency than accuracy. And so they can say things like, we put sofa here, why not? Why put here? We put there. No? Yes, no, but here is good because. And this for me is brilliant. This is communicative language.
Yeah.
There's this thing, you know, where it's called the tyranny of the correct answer, where teachers require students to say things that are always correct.
Yeah.
But if I go into a shop, I think some of you may have heard me say this before, but if I go into a shop and say, good morning, I wish for buy this thing for make stop rain from my head. Please, you have this thing? And the shopkeeper says, oh yes, certainly, you want an umbrella. And I say, please, what? Yes, this one. How much? I pay for it, I leave. Have I achieved my communicative aim? Yes, of course I have. And therefore, that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for people who are prepared to take a risk takers, and achieve a communicative aim. Afterwards, we can tidy up. We can get all those bits and pieces. And here's another expression that might be useful for you. Here it goes. Where would you use that? Where could you use that? I can ask them. Could you use that in what we've just done? And they start to think about what they've just been doing. So I'm doing things in a sense backwards. I want to see what they can do. Because even if you work with students for 5 years, you'll never know what they know. This is the reality. You'll never know. They don't get language only from you, especially today, with the web and everything. They get language from all kinds of different places. And what I want to do is to give them an opportunity to produce that language. Let's see what happens. That's my view. All right? Good. Right, so what I want you to do now, if you would, is put all those rods back as fast as you can back into the box. Into the right, into the box.